What's up, YouTube? Alex here, and I'm super pumped for this video. I'm going to be breaking down my bets for week 2 of the NFL season because on Sunday, I made over $38,000. And the purpose of this video is I'm going to run through all of the bets that I placed, the strategies that I used to make money, so the strategies that I used, why I locked in these specific bets, and I really hope you find it helpful. So when I started sports betting, a bunch of people that I worked with, I was a quant on Wall Street, and a bunch of other people once sports betting legalized in Pennsylvania, which is where I was working at the time. They were big sports bettors. They were really smart. They had experience with it, and I learned a lot from them, learning what they were betting on and why they were betting on what they were betting on. So that's kind of the goal with this video. I want to run through the bets I placed, and hopefully you learn something, whether it's a strategy or a tip, whatever. I hope this video makes you more money. But anyways, $38,000 is crazy. You may be thinking, that sounds a little too good to be true, but all my bets basically are given out 100% free on Twitter or live stream. So you can go back, you can verify everything. A ton of people, tailed these exact same plays, made a bunch of money, which I'm really excited about. But anyways, this bet tracker that I use is called Pick It. So what it does is you link the different sports books you use. This weekend, for example, put me over $170,000 profit on the year. And this bet tracker reads in all your bets from the sports books. You link your accounts and it'll show you your profit and loss, as well as give you a bunch of analytics, such as your profit and loss by sportsbook, which I think is really helpful. So you can see my top books for the year are Fliff, I'm up over $60,000. Better, I'm up over $70,000. Underdog Fantasy and Dabble are two other books that I've been pretty successful on. Granted, there's some books where I've been running super cold, including Rebet. I'm down almost $10,000 on the year, but I'm not going to stop betting on Rebet. Not every book can be hot at the exact same time. I've been running crazy on Fliff, obviously, up over $60,000 on the year. So some books will run hot, some will run cold. That's just kind of how it is. But without further ado, let's get into some of these bets, the strategies, stuff like that. And again, thanks for tuning in. If you like this type of content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, comment any questions you have. I love this. I love helping other people learn about sharp, data-driven betting strategies. When I started sports betting, a bunch of people helped me, so I'm kind of trying to pay it forward. Also, let me know any video ideas you have, content ideas. I love to make content on sports betting, so any video ideas you have, things you have questions about, feel free to comment them below, and maybe I'll make a video about that specific topic. But without further ado, let's get into it. So the first strategy we're going to discuss, it actually made up most of my $38,000 profit, is called positive EV betting. But before I break down that specific strategy, two things I want to mention really quick. Number one is all of my strategies that I'm going to go through, they are sharp data-driven strategies. I don't wake up, watch sports, and bet on stuff with my gut. That's absolute BS. Right? 99% of sports bettors, they watch sports and then they bet with their emotions. And guess what? The sports books are in business. That clearly doesn't work. All of the strategies I'm gonna explain to you in this video that I'm using to make money are sharp, data-driven, proven strategies that if you put in the time to understand them, they will make you money long-term. But the second thing I wanted to mention is, as a sports bettor, you want to use multiple sports books. Ideally, you have as many books as possible. So this is kind of counterintuitive. It may even seem a little degenerate because if you're an investor, you don't need to have Fidelity, E-Trade, Robinhood. And that's because the price of a stock is going to be the same on all these different platforms. However, in sports betting, as you can see with this example I'm going to take you through on Najee Harris, all books set their own odds. So for example, on Fliff, a bet that I locked in was Najee Harris over 15.5 rushing attempts at minus 105 odds. So on Fliff, this bet is minus 105. If you look at all the other sports books, DraftKings has this at minus 130. So that's much worse odds. All these books set their own lines, their own odds. So you can kind of think about it. It's like if you were a trader buying a stock at $105 on Fliff versus 130 on DraftKings, that's a very different trade. And it's the same thing in sports betting. As a sports bettor, betting at minus 105 versus betting at minus 130, those are completely different things. So you want to use as many books as possible because you never know which book is going to be offering the best odds, the best value on a given day. So let's go through this specific play. Najee Harris over 15 and a half rushing attempts at minus 105 odds. Why did I like this bet? What is positive EV betting? So positive EV betting is essentially relying on market information, which just means where other sportsbooks are posting their odds to find discrepancies, right? All of these books, DraftKings, FanDuel, they're multi-billion-dollar companies. They've invested hundreds of millions of dollars in their ability to set lines, run their models. They're experts in setting odds. And you'll see they all have Najee Harris as a big favorite to go over 15 and a half rushing attempts. DraftKings has this at minus 130. They have the under at plus 100. So they're telling you through their odds, hey, Najee Harris is a big favorite to go over 15 and a half rushing attempts. It's the same thing with Bovada. They have the over as a minus 135 favorite. They have the under as a plus 105 underdog. So all these other sports books are data points, billion-dollar companies taking bets, moving odds based on where action's coming in. They all have Harris's over heavily favored. And then you can see Fliff, that's the only sports book with Harris's under favored. Fliff has more juice towards the under. They have the under at minus 140, the over at minus 105. So long story short, I was like, wow, Fliff is offering amazing value. Every other book has Harris's over as a big favorite around minus 130. I'm able to get this at minus 105 on Fliff. So I'm using the information in the market, other sports books, to help me identify bets with an edge. So I locked in this play in a bunch of different slips. Like you can see, I included Najee Harris and a bunch of different parlays on Fliff for $500. So you may be like, why did you do that? Why didn't you just bet on Najee Harris as a straight bet and put $5,000 on it or whatever amount of action you wanted? And the thing is on this sportsbook Fliff, they only allow a max of $500 per bet. However, what you can do is if there's a profitable pick, there's a bet you really like, you can include that same play in multiple slips. So Najee Harris, you can see, I paired him with a college football play, Rainer under in passing yards. I also paired him, with the under in the Air Force Baylor game. So I combine these positive EV, these profitable bets, these bets where there's a discrepancy in odds, and I run with them in $500 slips on Fliff. Now, there's tons of sports books. I only use the sports books that are available in my location. Positive EV betting, you can do this on any sports book. So if there's sports books in your location, maybe you're in Canada, a book like Sports Interaction, I'm sure there's tons of profitable bets, positive EV bets, a lot of line discrepancies where they're offering too much value, but that's just not a book I have access to. So it's obviously not a book that I'm going to give out plays for when I'm dropping plays on Twitter or on Twitch. It's not a book that I'm going to have in my rotation. The reason I like to give out bets on Fliff, especially on social media, is this book is available everywhere. It's legal in basically every state. I think like 47 states in the US, this book is legal and you can use it. So I like to give out plays for it because tons of people have access to it. So the second strategy that I love to use is called middle betting. I call them low-risk lottery tickets. In sports betting, I've explained them in other videos, but I hit a few big, juicy middles this past weekend, so I figured we'd go through it. The same way, just how sports books, they all set their own odds, and sometimes there's big discrepancies, just like the play we looked at on Najee Harris. Books also set their own lines, and their lines can get out of sync. So for example, this isn't an NFL play, but I thought it was interesting and both bets ended up winning, so I figured we'd go through it, is in the Memphis-Florida State game, the Florida State quarterback, DJU, there was a big discrepancy in where his passing yards line was being set. FanDuel had his line at 192.5, and then Fliff, another book, had him at 209.5. So you have this big 17-yard discrepancy. So what middle betting is you buy low, sell high. I bet the over 192.5 on FanDuel, the under 209.5 on Fliff. So if he ends up in that 17-yard band, 193 to 209 yards, then I'm going to win both bets, which is exactly what happened. He ended up with exactly 201 passing yards. So both bets ended up winning, which is pretty amazing. So middles are kind of like the low risk lottery ticket of sports betting. There's millions of odds across sports books if you use multiple books. The key is just using software like OddsJam that scans the market and points out these middle bets to you. So OddsJam gave me an alert for this play. I went to both sports books. It takes just 20 seconds to lock in my bet. I put $500 on the over on FanDuel, $500 on the under on Fliff, and then I have a fun sweat in. Now you may be thinking a 17-yard ban doesn't seem that big, but you have to remember for player passing yards in most stats, it kind of follows like a bell curve, right? DJU, most games, he's going to throw around 200 yards, right? Somewhere in the 175 to 225 range. He's not going to throw for 1,500 yards. He's not going to throw for 0. So the probability he kind of ends up in the 17-yard gap is a lot higher than you'd think. So this middle would have actually hit in 2 of the first 3 weeks. He had 193 passing yards in his first game in week 0. This game, he had 201. So both of those middles would have hit. You would have won the over. You also would have won the under. I had a bunch more juicy middles, but I want to get into our next strategy. So the next strategy that I like to use every single NFL Sunday is called arbitrage betting. It is a risk-free strategy. This strategy will make you risk-free money once you understand it. So I don't know about you guys, but I like picking up a free $20, $50 here and there. So basically, because all books set their own odds, sometimes 2 books get super out of sync and you can play the over on one book, the under on a different book, and guarantee a profit. You're day trading the sports books and hedging for a profit. So I'll give you an example. Jordan Mason in the 49ers game, to score a touchdown, he was minus 135 on Fliff. DraftKings had him at minus 180. So a huge discrepancy. Again, usually the discrepancies aren't this big, but a software like OddsJam, it'll scan the millions of odds across sportsbooks to point out these arbitrage plays. So essentially, DraftKings and Fliff were so out of sync, his over at minus 135 on Fliff, his under at plus 150 on DraftKings, that you could bet his over on Fliff, his under on DraftKings, and guarantee a profit, which is exactly what I did. So you can actually see right here, if you pull up an arbitrage calculator, this is called an arbitrage calculator, is you put in your stake on one book, it tells you how much to bet on the other book and what your risk-free profit will be. So you can see on DraftKings, it says bet like 348 or something. Again, Fliff has a max bet size of $500. So I put $500 into the arbitrage calculator. It tells me, hey, bet 348 on DraftKings. I just rounded to 350. I don't want to sketch out the sports books. So I rounded my bet size to the nearest round number, 350. And I'm going to make a risk-free approximately $20 regardless of if Jordan Mason scores or doesn't score. So these arbitrage bets, a risk-free $20 doesn't seem groundbreaking, but these bets take just a few minutes to lock in max. I mean, honestly, if you know how to navigate these sports books quickly, this specific arbitrage bet, it took me like 30 seconds to place. Go to DraftKings, go to Fliff, lock in my bets. Easy money. I'm $20 richer after the game ends on Sunday, and I lock in a ton of arbitrage plays every single week. So essentially, if Jordan Mason scores a touchdown on Fliff, what is going to happen is I'm going to win my bet. 500 times 100 over 135, 370, 37 profit. Just $500 bet at minus 135 odds. You're betting 500 for 370, 37 profit. So 2037 is my net profit. I lose 350 on DraftKings. I win 370, 37 on Fliff. I'm up about $20. I make money. Now, if he doesn't score, I lose $500 on Fliff, but on DraftKings, I'm up 350 times 1.5. I'm betting 350 at plus 150 odds. I'm up $525 profit. So that's a net profit of $25. Regardless of what happens, if he scores or doesn't score, I make risk-free money. Right? So arbitrage betting, it's not what makes up the majority of my profits anymore because I'm so limited on most of these sports books. If you're a sharp, profitable bettor, you know, these books like to cut down your bet size. So unfortunately, there's a lot of books like BetMGM where I can't even bet more than like $100. If you're making money, they'll try to cut down your bet size, but I still use arbitrage every single NFL Sunday to usually pick up $100, $200 risk-free. It's nice. It's free money. So what's better than that? I don't really have much else to say. So the next thing I wanted to mention about arbitrage betting is when two books get super out of sync, so out of sync that you can bet the over on one book, the under on another book, and guarantee a profit. This is called a crossed market. And what that means is one of the bets has to be profitable. So for example, if you look here, I was looking at the OddsJam arbitrage tool, there was a play on Breece Hall. DraftKings had its over him to score a touchdown at minus 225. Fliff was super different at minus 145. So DraftKings and Fliff were super out of sync. You could bet the over on Fliff, the under on DraftKings, and guarantee a profit if you wanted to, just like the play on Jordan Mason. So you can place both of these bets and guarantee a risk-free profit. So we know by definition, when the market is crossed, one of these bets has to be profitable or plus EV, right? Either the over at minus 145 on Fliff is a good bet, is a profitable bet, or the under at plus 160 on DraftKings. One of those two bets is profitable. In this case, I thought it was really clear, looking at all the other sports books, they all had Breece Hall to score a touchdown around like minus 215, minus 220, that getting him to score a TD on Fliff at minus 145, I thought that was insanely good value, so I included it in a variety of plays. So you can use the arbitrage tool to identify market discrepancies and profitable bets as well. Whenever the market's crossed, either the over or the under has to be profitable. So a couple of things I wanted to mention is, first of all, you want to be placing profitable bets throughout the week. You never know when the best arbitrage bets, middle bets, positive EV bets are going to occur. For example, with arbitrage, it's oftentimes when sportsbooks first release player prop lines, their models are super out of sync, so you can bet the over on one book, the under on another book, and guarantee a profit. But you don't necessarily know when our book's going to release player prop lines for Sunday. Many of these arbitrage bets, like the one on Jordan Mason, that came out on Thursday and I locked it in. So it's not like I'm placing all my bets on Sunday right before the games start. Sometimes good value shows up throughout the week as books post odds. Sometimes there's big discrepancies. Sometimes it's after players get injured or ruled out. Who's going to be playing? Who's not playing? That moves around the market. Sportsbooks, they're betting markets. It's a market that's open 24/7. You can always place bets. There can always be new information that comes into the market, like players getting injured. So I'm locking in profitable bets throughout the week. You never know when the best arbitrage and middle plays are going to occur. But anyways, I really hope you found this video helpful. Please like the video, comment any questions you have, subscribe to the channel. I love sports betting, data-driven sports betting. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. And as always, thank you so much for your time. I'm really excited to see what my results are gonna be in week 3 of the NFL season. See you guys.